does need to like it's not that big of a deal at this point of the game. I actually it's probably not the best idea, but sacrificing a couple of overlords to look at the base is quite a good idea. Just to be able to have that information on your opponent. And strangely enough, S2 has switched gears. Maybe this is actually common, switching gears into mutalisks. I'm not sure how effective this is going to be because Mind has so many turrets and so many Goliaths. I'm not sure how he's planning to engage with these. This is interesting though, just switching tech. This is practically a game of complete mind games, I think. And there are Hydras and Mutalisks protecting that third expo. But his hand has been revealed. Mind does know that there are a lot of Mutalisks, but maybe he doesn't know exactly how much because he only saw that one Mutalisk, I think. And in the meantime, now S2 is in the back of his base, in the back of Mind's base, taking down those turrets, and there are only Goliaths to deal with him. I think it will be quite effective. There are 2 Goliaths. More Goliaths are coming on the way. There are reinforcements. I don't know how much S2 should continue with his Muta harass. Yes, and he pulls out. It was probably a good idea. Really, that did quite a lot of damage, but because and Mind retaliates with harass of his own, taking down many drones. Wow, just with I don't know, 6 vultures, he just completely bypasses all those hydras. That was kind of bad positioning by S2, I think. He should have put his hydras kind of, well, nearer to his minerals at least. But right now it looks like well, Mind is continuing with this mech build. He might go for science vessels and irradiate just to be able to get rid of those pesky mutas because he doesn't have much to deal with them. He has a lot of Goliaths, but they're kind of slow. They won't do as well as an irradiate might. And this is interesting because S2 opted for faster overlords. Now it's kind of hard for him to group his mutas. So really, this tech switch is pretty funny. It doesn't happen all that often. Mind continues to... these 2 players are swapping mutas and vultures constantly, just trying to harass each other. And he does get in. He only gets 2 drones. It's not bad, though, because vultures really are pretty cheap. And meanwhile, he can lay just those really annoying mines everywhere. Oh, I didn't notice this before, but Mind seems to have anticipated a possible drop and has mined up his factories so that any vulture drop that Mind drag just kills both vultures. That was a shame. They could have done more. In the meantime, both players are just trading harasses. Mind's doing pretty well, I think, with these random vulture harasses. He doesn't have to dedicate a lot of his forces to any attack. He just has to go in with 2 vultures, snipe off, I don't know, 4 drones, leave mines all over the place. It's really effective. He's been able to keep S2 on the back foot for a lot of this game. Those vultures will be taken out by those hydras, but vultures are really fast and hydras are not. So it's really difficult for S2 to chase those out. In the meantime, all Mind has to do really is sit in his base, get his macro up a bit, build that overwhelming force of mech units that is really difficult to engage, and then he's going to push out. Once he gets irradiate science vessels and radiate, I think he will push out for sure. Or he's going to push out right now. He's laying out mines. This is an interesting game, actually. Hydras and Zerglings and Mutas, all these units versus Goliaths, tanks, and vultures. I haven't really seen so many games like this. And those mines are proving to be very useful, just catching S2 off guard. It's hard for him even to push out. It might just be a mental trick just to make S2 reluctant to come out. But in the meantime, it looks like S2 is going to hook around and go for his expansion. That is quite good of him. Oh, but it looks like those mines are completely decimating hydras. He was kind of uncareful, I think. He was really impatient. No overlord was there, and he won't be able to do anything. Maybe he can hold this ramp. That ramp might be easier to hold and take down all those vultures. Those vultures are also kind of haphazardly placed in front, away from the Goliaths. But now the Goliaths are sniping those mutas. S2 just ran his mutas in there a bit too far, I think. Oh, I see. S2 was probably trying to take out that command center. He might have been able to do it, but he just wasn't able to because Mind came with reinforcements. And in the meantime, S2 is just kind of sending these random bunches of units forward. I'm not sure why he's only sending 3 hydras at a time. Maybe he lost control of all of these units. And Mind is still macroing. He's taking more expansions. I think it might be 4 expansions to 4 now. And S2 really needs to stay ahead in number of expansions in order to do this. But this is really interesting unit mix. I'm not sure why he's chosen to go this tech route. Maybe because it's just hard to counter mech, especially like when I play against mech, I really don't know what to do. Sometimes I go for defilers because plague is really effective, but it might be a while until S2 has that hive tech, and meanwhile Mind has anticipated those muta-harasses. He's really turreted up his base to an extreme extent. Wow, I'm not sure why S2 would just attack one turret like that. That wasn't exactly the smartest thing to do. Meanwhile, S2 is going for hive tech. We might see defilers soon. He's continuing to expand, trying to stay one expansion ahead, but at the same time, Mind is expanding. So I'd say that Mind has the advantage right now, because when you have something like 4 base to 4 Terran, maybe 5 Terran, I'm not even sure. The minimap's kind of hard to tell. But once you have that, the Terran player can just get an overwhelming force. In the meantime, those vultures kind of just ran straight into that Zerg army. That probably wasn't very pleasant to behold. In the meantime, these mutalisks have done nothing all game. I don't know. I'm not sure what S2 was trying to do. He went Hydras and then went, I don't know, fast overlords, maybe forward transport, maybe not. I was almost convinced he was going to do some sort of drop, but maybe not. Who knows? S2 has gotten into Mind's base. He has gotten a very nice SCV harass. Really, Mind should have pulled those SCVs earlier, but I guess he was preoccupied. In the meantime, there will be a lot of irradiates going off. 3 irradiates. He really needs to split those mutas. Luckily, they're not actually that clumped anyway. Wow, those are a lot of Hydras. But Hydras versus tanks and mines aren't exactly the best combination. We'll see what happens. This kind of reminds me of a Protoss v Terran game, where the Dragoons or Hydras are actually extremely vulnerable and squishy. So I don't think this is going to be very effective. There's Hydra blood all over the place. There are reinforcements coming. Actually, wow, S2 has gotten amongst those tanks. Those tanks, I don't know what happened there. Those tanks didn't really take out those Hydras when they were supposed to. Goliaths are coming in. Those reinforcements were probably distracted by those mutalisks. But now Goliaths are coming in. Losing all those tanks is really dangerous, though, because when you're going mech, you have so much gas deficit that you really can't lose that many tanks. It's just like playing a Protoss. You can't lose those tanks. Those tanks are really important. You won't be able to build up such a force again. In the meantime, there are so many Hydras out. There are so many Hydras and Zerglings and a Defiler out, even probably with Consume. That probably won't work as much. It probably has Plague. Never mind. Or he has Swarm. Either way, Hydras under Swarm can do well, I guess, as long as they're not firing into the Swarm. But anyway, this is such a strange tech game. Hydra, Zerglings, and Dark Swarm Defilers, really, and it's been pretty, well, not exactly back and forth, but S2 has come back into this, or has achieved this, like, really strong foothold into the game, I think, just by taking out that massive amount of tanks. Those tanks were kind of clumped. I'm not sure why Mine lost that battle, and now S2 is going for Ultralisks. He is going for Ultralisks. Mind is going to have a lot of tanks just to be able to kill those ultras, because Goliaths, they're not so good. Mines might work against those ultras, but for the most part, no. Sorry, I have somewhat of a cold. I apologize for that, especially if my voice sounds really strange. I also apologize for my mic quality. I am trying to get a mic soon, but for now, I hope that the buzzing doesn't annoy anyone too much. In the meantime, I guess Mind is just, I don't know, he's expanded, he's about even expansions, but S2 is looking kind of strong because he's scared Mind, I think, because all his tanks are gone. Mind won't be able to push out like he probably planned to until much later because his forces were decimated, and Zerg armies are just so much easier to build. You have so many hatcheries, you have just so many cheap units to use. You can just run Zerglings like that into minefields just to get rid of them. In the meantime, those Zerglings, or those Hydras, are chasing off the engineering base so that S2 can have a expansion. And even though S2 didn't... Oh, wow, those Vultures are really just getting all up in S2's base, leaving mines. Hopefully Mine will be able to do some sort of damage with them, because he hasn't really stopped to do anything with those drones. And meanwhile, those drones have all been transferred. He discovers the Ultralisk tech, but that's it. I thought that Mine would do a lot more with his Vultures, to be honest. He got in around 8 Vultures, but he never stopped to really snipe drones. Possibly because he just wanted to scout. I'm not even sure. But now, Mine is actually looking quite dangerous.